So segment 3, 16 minutes in is a record. But Lane Kiffin, when asked about and talking about this cap, and we've talked a lot about NIL and house settlement, and shoot, I don't know, we didn't even talk about this, but I did do a video on it on the channel if anybody wants to check it out about the SCORE Act and just different things going on. The idea of the cap is something that I've never bought, never really thought that it would be a hard cap. I think it's kind of a cap for the schools. In all reality, I don't even know why it exists. There's not a cap on coaching salaries, and so why you're putting a cap on anything else doesn't. I understand why they're doing it, but in in any other context, it doesn't make sense. No other employees anywhere are capped, and no other marketing deals anywhere are capped in the world. But all that said, Kiffin talks about people not following the cap. I don't want to just throw Kiffin under the bus, because I think these coaches do have to say the right thing, right? Like, you can't just say, like, F it, we're going balls to the wall.
Right.
But I mean, before we even get into the big picture, do you think Ole Miss is following the cap, Tom? Is that a thing you think is reality? Because here's the other thing for Lane Kiffin. You don't have to say anything. People always say, like, oh, what do you want these coaches to say? And I guess I just said it. But, like, you don't have to say, oh, man, we're trying. Like, Ryan Day hasn't come out and said anything about this. Texas Tech hasn't come out and said anything. Sarkisian hasn't come out and said anything about this. So, like, when asked about something like this, you can say, hey, we're just trying to navigate this new system as well as we can. Like, these guys are all coach speak. But I would say there's a 98% chance that Ole Miss is not following the cap and is paying guys outside of the bounds of our new rules. And so for him to bring it up, it seems, I don't know, I'm not trying to call him a hypocrite, but it seems a little hypocritical if they are breaking the cap. Thoughts there?
I think Lane Kiffin speaks his mind very consistently, and I will give him credit for that. It's the way he feels, that's going to come out of his mouth. The Grove Collective is one of the more active collectives remaining in college football, as it seems like collectives are probably going to get phased out, and they've done a tremendous job grabbing talent for Ole Miss through this whole transfer portal era, and especially in recruiting. They've done very well in that department. But I think Lane Kiffin, there is a degree of hypocrisy with this, because if I looked at the biggest spenders in college football, absolutely would be looking at Ole Miss in that department. I like the idea of the cap, but like so many of these things with NIL, revenue sharing, the CFC, Deloitte, they're all great ideas, but it's still just this amorphous blob that we have yet to organize and corral whatsoever. Is you can try and put a cap on this and try and make it like the NFL, but we always talk about the McDonald's bag full of money that's been around for decades. I don't think that's going to go away when it comes to college football. So just because you tell major D1 schools, hey, you have $20.5 million to use for all of your athletics programs, and then the big football schools saying, hey, we're going to allot 15 to 18 million to our football team. Well, there's a story out there. Texas Tech has spent $28 million. We talked about it a lot last season, that Ohio State spent over $30 million on their roster. Like, it's just not plausible at this point in time. I would love to see it get to that. But then you also can talk about some of the things, like I saw Eli Drinkowitz was talking at SEC Media Days. He wants to see the playoff expanded to 30 teams. And he's like, well, only 10% of the teams in college football get the chance to compete for the national championship. And it just opens up a whole can of worms of, like, do you really think the 15th through 25th ranked team in the country really has a chance at beating the top 5 teams in the country? And that's the issue we have with college football. Even if you put this cap out there and you say you afford this to Akron's not going to come up with $20.5 million for all their sports. Like, if they have that, awesome. But like, what are they going to come up with for football? 5 max? So it's an uneven playing field to begin with. And there's an attempt to level it. It's just going to take a long time. I mean, decades.
You brought up the Drinkowitz thing, which I think is interesting, and I almost added this in as our wild card later. But yeah, like, it just, I don't know why coaches, I don't know, man. I guess it's because they're at these media days and people just shove 8,000 microphones into their mouth, and so they feel like they have to talk. But the expanding the playoff thing to 30 is the most asinine thing I've ever heard. Like, there are so many reasons, and even mentioned the NFL, right? Well, the NFL has this many this percentage of teams, 40, is it? Or maybe a few more. they've got 40 something percent of teams in. Well, they also have negotiated salaries and contract maxes and contract minimums. And yes, does a guy make a little bit more here or there? Yes, but for all intent and purposes, you're not making, the Chiefs are paying Patrick Mahomes what everyone else would pay Patrick Mahomes. Like he
Mhm.
wouldn't go to New York and all of a sudden make 5 times more the money because he's in a bigger market. And so yeah, Patrick Mahomes' value is the same everywhere in the country, right? And same with Josh Allen and any of these guys, right? When Jeremiah Smith goes top 5 overall, maybe number 1, he will have an assigned contract value. Like they can't pay him any more or less.
Mhm.
And so in the NFL, it's a much more regulated model. Everyone is operating with around the same budget, right? Because of league revenue sharing. It's all on the same 4 TV channels. Like you're not getting stuff on, oh, well, this team makes more from Fox and this team makes less from ESPN and the ACC is under this umbrella or whatever. So the NFL is a completely different model. And in the NFL, we've seen it. The 12th best team can win. It is possible because the rosters aren't that different. I don't even think 12 teams is necessary. I was never a proponent of going away. I mean, shoot, I was never a proponent of going away from 2, but I was never a proponent of going away from 4. And I understand the reason Drinkowitz and other coaches that think, oh, we should expand this out, we should go further. It's not just a slam on him. Other coaches think the same thing. I mean, they want to get in because Missouri's never going to consistently make a 12-team playoff. In all reality, they may slip up and find their way into a 16 here and there, but Missouri's never going to make a 16-team playoff
No.
with any consistency either. The same big dogs that have always run this sport are always going to make it. Will you get an occasional SMU in? Will you get an occasional Boise State, from the group of 5 in? Will UNLV maybe make it in this year? Because yes, you'll get those because and they'll go as lambs to the slaughter, right? Like it'll be the same thing every time. And so would Missouri. Missouri's never going to get in and win more than one game in a college football playoff, and the one they would win would be because maybe they match up against one of those group of 5 teams or something like that, or a weak Big Ten team or ACC team that happened to sneak in. So yeah, I just it's a completely different sport. It makes no sense at all to try and think like, oh, well, we should make this the NFL. Unless you're going to institute, do you want to institute a draft out of high school? Because then I think you could start to say, okay, well, yeah, let's put more teams in because our rosters truly are just purely even. There's no portal,
Mhm.
there's no moving around. They're just employees. Let's make it as all 136 rosters as even as we can. Let's water down the sport completely by doing that, because you're taking all the talent away from the top and just making everything even. Let's make it 100% parity, and then sure, yeah, throw them in. I don't think there's any, coaches say these things. Going to 30 seems like the worst idea in the world to me. Going to 16 seems like a stupid idea to me. Like there's no real reason for it. I understand. Oh well, the SEC plays a tough schedule every week, and these teams are better than this fifth best SEC team is better than the third best Big 12 team. Yeah, they probably are, but they're still the sixth best SEC team. They're still not going to win a championship, right? Like that's what we're talking about. And so, yeah, Missouri getting into the playoff consistently, yeah, they would at 30, but they're never going to win a title. Like it's just, yeah,
No.
we'd make the playoff and make more money. And so it makes no sense to me. And these coaches, they just, again, we're sticking 700 microphones in their faces, so they got to fill some kind of time, I guess. And
Right.
so I guess I'm not blaming them fully, but it makes no sense.
No, you got to say something. And like, I understand what's at the heart of what Drinkowitz is saying and what Lane Kiffin is saying is they want to include more teams, give more people opportunities, and attempt to level the playing field, attempt to put some guardrails on this, put some real rules in place that give people a fair shot. And that's a noble cause. But again, like, I feel like we bag on UVA on this program all the time, but like, say Virginia winds up as the 25th best team in the country, and it's like, hey, you're in the college football playoff. Does anybody buy that program or any middle of the road, middle conference team actually bowing up and winning a national championship? And what do we complain about every single January? Oh, I don't want to see blowouts. Well, we saw plenty of blowouts this past year. Ohio State blew the hell out of Tennessee in Columbus. So, I mean, like, there's all these instances where we're trying to prevent against certain things. We want to give other people opportunities, but everybody should have the same guidelines and rules. Like, it's become very muddied, and this attempt to try and corral and govern the Wild West, we just opened up Pandora's box even more.
Yeah, college football. had its issues, and I understand why it has to change. But we certainly are trying to get to a point where we ruin everything that's good about it, right? Like I was on a radio show this morning at 5 a.m. because I forgot to tell them that I was in California. But I was on a radio show, and you know what I said? I said, look, I'm looking forward to getting with my buddies and drinking and tailgating and doing all those
Yeah.
things. And then those 3 hours, I mean, it was specifically about the um, specifically about the Bama game. I just said like, hey man, I'll see the game and the game will happen. Like it'll be what it is. But the things that made college football so great, you know, rewarding excellence and cheering for players that you get to see developed in your program. And man, like to go a Florida State angle for a minute, Jordan Travis wasn't allowed to throw the ball when he got to Florida State. Like they only brought him in running packages, to where he finished top 10 in the Heisman with a broken leg. Like like that was a great story to watch somebody be developed over 4 years of being at a program. And yeah, I mean, like a lot of that's gone, a lot of, and I think these coaches, I don't think the coaches are trying to ruin things. I think they're trying to do what's best for their program, but the sport in general is heading in a direction that needs fixing because it's unrecognizable, from however long ago, we enjoyed it. Somebody said, where's the angry guy at? I like his takes. Cole's at SEC Media Days. He was on for the first 20 minutes or so. You have to go check out the replay to see the beginning, and he'll be back next week. But that's hilarious. That's my new favorite comment that we've ever gotten on this channel. Where's the angry guy at?